Okay, chapter 7. The sea, a rebellious power. Though the Hebrews probably did not always remember that the monstrous Tiamat, Tihom, was itself nothing else but the dangerous primeval flood which Jehovah had to subjugate and set limits to before the orderly work of creation could proceed, still down to the latest times they retained a conscious feeling that this vanquished deep was a hostile and refractory power which was held in constant restraint by the might of the omnipotent, and needed to be watched continually lest it should break out in rebellion and bring back the primeval chaos. Chaos in numerous, no, yeah, in numerous avidium confudere mundus. This is the meaning of Job's complaint. Am I a sea yam or a sea monster, Tannin, that thou settest a watch over me? Where the reference in yam is to the heaven assaulting sea, the tumultuous primitive abyss which God watched and confined and still watches and enchains, lest it overwhelm the world, and in Tannin to those vast creatures with which the early waters of creation teemed. Similarly, in the other passages, who shut up the sea with doors, asked Jehovah, when I prescribed for it my decree and set bars and doors, and said, hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Again, thou hast set them a bound that they must not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. With this should be compared an ancient Babylonian tablet which says of the conqueror of Tiamat, i.e., the creator, Merodach, a wide space on the face of the deep bound round, he made dust and poured it on the space. The Lord Merodach around the sea made an embankment, and the swords of Solomon in the 8th chapter of Proverbs, before the hills were brought forth, or the highest part of the dust of the world, when he sat a circle upon the face of the depth, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree that the waters should not pass his commandment. Passages like these imply that the sea, like a wicked rebel, if Jehovah were to remove his curbing hand, would soon overflow the earth again and bring back the confusion of chaos, Tiamat. The subjugation of this turbulent creature is frequently appealed to as a proof of his divine omnipotence, and determination to punish every other hostile and resisting power. Thus, in Jeremiah, God demands of his revolting people, will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree that it cannot pass it? Although the waves thereof toss themselves, yet they cannot prevail. Though they roar, yet they cannot pass over it. The raging deep is here the symbol of impotent hostility, and in the apocalyptic books it is out of it that the monstrous powers of Antichrist are seen to arise. In the book of Jonah, the sea appears as an angry being only to be appeased by the surrender of a victim. The engulfing sea monster is only a more concrete form of the same conception, and on early Christian monuments it is often depicted as a dragon. The superstitious dread of the dangerous primeval ocean embodied in the Babylonian Tiamat, which with claw and fangs to typify its cruel savage nature and wings to indicate its mounting impetuosity, survived among the Semites in a fear and awe of the sea down to the latest times, as the great green one was at all times an object of dread to the ancient Egyptians as to the ancient Greek. There was nothing more evil than the sea to confound even the strongest man, so the Hebrews could never conquer a secret horror of that element, whose unfathomed depths for them reached down to the very gates of the lower world. Among most primitive people's dislike and fear are the sentiments inspired by the boundless insatiable ocean, which ravages against its bounds like a beast of prey. In Aryan tongues, its synonyms are the desert and night. It produces an impression of immensity, infinity, formlessness, and barren changeableness, well suited to a notion of chaos. The awful, pitiless sea, with all its terror and mystery, the dim, dark sea, so like unto death that divides and yet unites mankind. Spencer also has expressed this ancient feeling of repugnance to the sea as a source of mysterious danger. So to the sea we came, the sea that is a world of waters heaped up on high, rolling like mountains in wide wilderness, horrible, hideous, roaring with hoarse cry, and is the sea, quoteth Corydon, so fearful. Fearful much more, quoteth he, than heart can fear, thousand wild beasts with deep mouths gaping direful, therein still wait poor passengers to tear, whose life doth loathe and longs death to behold, before he die already dead with fear, and yet would have with heart half stony cold. Let him to see, and he shall see it there. Wordsworth, sharing the same feeling, could not see a ship put forth to sea without experiencing of the old sea some reverential fear. The ancient awe noticed by Wordsworth for the sea and its tremendous secrets, as De Quincey truly observes, is a feeling that has not nor ever will become entirely obsolete. No excess of nautical skill will ever perfectly disenchant the great abyss from its terrors. We are not surprised, therefore, to find that in the Hebrew scriptures this element is a frequent metaphor not only for dreary confusion and peril, but for misery and calamity. As representing the original chaotic water, it is a manifestation of the destructive energies of evil upon earth. Reduced to order and confined, it had received a place among the good works of God, and its embankment was nothing less than a victory over a bad, revolting power. But the waters of the sea are a surviving remnant of that raging abyss, Tiamat, which in the beginning made earth a desolation, Bohu. Thus, as a cosmic symbol of sin and rebellion, when the wickedness of man called for exemplary punishment, it was again let loose upon the earth in the deluge. Chaos returned as in the aboriginal deep, Tium, of waste and desolation. In the mystic sense of Scripture, this turbulent element, the great sea, puffed up with proud disdain to swell above the measure of his guise, as threatening to devour all that his power despise, is the restless wicked world into which the apocalyptic dragon is cast down, announcing woe. It is the symbol of worldly pride and tumultuous rebellion, of confusion and anarchy. Thou rulest the pride of the sea. We are now in a position to understand the full mystic significance of the otherwise enigmatical statement with which the book of Revelation closes, that the dark image of sin and disorder, which has marred the earth from its very foundation, will have no place in the renovated world. In the new heaven and the new earth, wherein dwelleth the righteousness, there will be no more sea. Tiamat in all its manifold phases, whether we call it T-Home, the dragon, the serpent, Satan, anarchy, evil, sin, or death, shall be finally cast out of God's universe, and the complete victory of the God of light shall be forever consummated. Thus the cycle of Scripture comes full circle, and is manifestly designed harmony. The psalm note sounded in its opening chapter dies away in the closing scene of the great drama, re-echoed in a higher key. Across the ages of the world's history, deep calleth unto deep, T-Home to T-Home. Ere it disappears and sinks forever into the eternal calm.